What is up, everybody? We are back with the part 2 of our week 4 recap. We're looking at the 7 other games from Sunday night, just kind of giving giving our opinions and overreactions maybe, and looking at some of the interesting snap shares and trends that we're seeing. This is the second week where we wouldn't be able to talk about the Lions because they played on Thursday night again. So give me your overall feelings about the Lions this week, this year so far. 3-1 to start the year.
Yeah, it's awesome. The best thing I seen all week was all the Lion fans in Lambeau Field, and I never thought I'd see that. So, let's face it, Michigan and the Detroit area has been starved for a friggin' a winner for a long time. So they're showing up, and Lions offensive line and defensive line, those are big pieces right there. So they got to play Carolina coming up. So hopefully they keep it rolling.
Yeah, so it's awesome to see, and they get Panthers, Bucs next 2 weeks. Like they're going to definitely be favored in those. I'm just looking at their schedule now. They're going to be favored in those games. Probably the Ravens. The Ravens might be favored. We'll see. A lot can change in 2 weeks, but Raiders, Chargers, Bears, like a lot of games they're going to be favored in. So they could definitely make a run here. I think the biggest thing I liked about that was when Green Bay, I mentioned it to you, got back within 10 points at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And almost every game, there's very few games that are just like blowouts from start to the end. Like teams always make comebacks, even you're up 20 points, and teams always make a comeback and makes the game interesting. That was happening with the Lions. Like, okay, Green Bay, 10 points, beginning of the fourth, and Lions go on a 9-minute, 14-play touchdown drive, and it was just game over, right? Like, that's just, you just kind of put that to rest right there. Like, even if you didn't score a touchdown, 9-minute field goal drive, like, you take away basically over half of the fourth quarter gone in one drive. So not many teams can do that. That's how you beat these teams, the Dolphins of the world. So
it's the old-fashioned running game, that helps Jared Goff too. Without I guess there were some numbers with him regarding play action passes. That he's got a ridiculous. I don't know if it's quarterback rating or something, ridiculous numbers when he's able to do play action passing. So that means the linebackers, obviously have to honor the run and then opens up a little bit of the field. So now they get J-Mo back, get him integrated in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's roll the rest of the season.
Yep. Good to see. A lot of injuries for them, though, so to start the year, that's for sure. But we'll get into it, starting with the Bucs at the Saints here. Buccaneers take the game. We'll start with them. Baker Mayfield has looked good. I thought, they lost last week to the Eagles kind of handedly. I thought, we're going to get like Baker Mayfield implosion season coming. And no, they bounced back against a good Saints defense. And he looked good. Like, Baker Mayfield's the QB 13 on the year. He threw 3 touchdown passes, 250 yards. Like, the Bucs are in first place in the division. I mentioned this. A lot of people saying like, they're going to tank or going to get, one of the worst teams. And it's like, all they really lost was Tom Brady. I know that's a big loss, but it's like, they didn't lose everyone, like, there's still a lot of players on this team that won a Super Bowl. So, Dad, Baker Mayfield is your quarterback's on a bye. Buys are starting this week. Like, are you cool with Baker Mayfield?
Absolutely.
In there during the bye week? Yeah.
Yeah, why not? If he's there and you need one, look at your matchups. Look at all the other players available. It's kind of funny. Guy was the number 1 draft pick, and he was kind of booted out of Cleveland. He kind of sucked in Carolina last year, and guy's only playing for chump change down in Tampa Bay this year, like $2 or $4 million or something. So he's got a little chip on his shoulder. I've always liked the way he plays. I'm kind of glad to see it. Don't want to see him suck, but it's good to see. Good to see the Buccaneers viable. Hopefully they keep it up. Saints have had their numbers. The previous 3 years, the Saints have had the Buccaneers number.
Yep.
But not yesterday.
Nope, not yesterday. So would you start him? Let's say you have Herbert on a bye or someone else on a bye. Would you start him against the Lions this week, or are you going to avoid that Lions matchup?
No, I think
maybe no Mike Evans, by the way.
Yeah, I kind of was going to mention that. Yeah, I don't know. They got to play in Detroit. So, again, look at your matchups and what other quarterbacks are available. And if he's the best one you got, then roll with it, And with the Lions defense, they've been sacking quarterbacks the last 2 weeks like drunken sailors, man, just kicking butt,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Rachaad White, I don't know. I guess I'm just going to keep riding it until it goes away and just hope I get a few more weeks of okay production out of him. But it's a little alarming. He's just not efficient. He needs the workload, which he's been getting. But once that goes away and he has not been efficient, he hasn't averaged more than 4.3 yards a carry in any game. And they're trying to use more people. They tried to use Chase Edmonds there a couple weeks ago a little bit more. And then Chase Edmonds went down with an injury that game. And this one, it was Keyshawn Vaughn. They tried to use a little bit more. But he wasn't even effective. So I don't know if it's just the team overall can't run the ball. But what are you doing with Rachaad White? You're just going to keep riding it out until it's gone? And then, it's, again,
I think so. And he's kind of slightly involved with the passing game, not as much as he was last year. But we know that story. So, hey, he's their number one running back until an injury or somebody else starts proving it. So he's going to get the touches. And, yeah, you're going to get, some mediocre fantasy scoring. But, hey, if you got something to replace him, put him in there. If you don't, ride with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, he's RB21 on the year. He's had 2 disappointing games, 1 really good game, and then this last week's game, didn't kill you. 9.3 points in half PPR doesn't kill you, doesn't help you. But yeah, I mean, again, running backs are so tough. They're all injured and they're all kind of in this. A lot of them are in this Rachaad White boat, of I need a touchdown to have a good week type of thing. So yeah, Mike Evans was hurt. I forget exactly what it was, but it sounds like it's a thing that's going to sideline him for a decent amount of time. Or have you heard anything, Dad? I'm looking it up now.
No, I haven't. So hang on, let me.
Yeah, it's a hamstring. Okay, that's what it was. So yeah, those.
So
yeah, those can linger for sure. So
2 hours. 2 hours ago, there's no further updates. They just said tweaked his hamstring. So they can, a receiver's hamstring. Yeah, we're important stuff here,
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses a couple weeks. And obviously if he's playing and he's healthy, you're starting him. And if he's out, I think you're for sure starting Godwin, who had a good game, 115 yards on 8 catches. So yeah, not much to talk about with the Bucs. Not a whole lot fantasy relevant. It's Mike Evans and that's it. But I think we like Baker as a potential streamer. On the Saints side, it's why was Derek Carr playing? They were talking about when it first happened, it was yeah, we'll hope to see him back this year. And then it was oh, he's gonna miss some time. And then he's playing in the week, but I don't know. He did not look good, right?
No, he didn't. Yeah, they he's just dumping the ball off to. If you had Alvin Kamara and you started him, you had a good week.
Yeah, he was just dumping the ball. I hope they move on from. Go ahead. You say something?
Yeah, I have Olave, and I looked at his numbers, and I go, "The hell did he get hurt?" And And I don't think he got hurt. They just weren't getting the ball down the field at all. It was all dinking and dunking.
Yeah. Yeah, and your backup's Jameis Winston. It's not like your backup's Cincinnati's backup of Jake Browning. It's like you have Jameis Winston, who's like, why is he your backup if he can't come in for Derek Carr with a busted shoulder for a couple games and give you production? Like, why is he your backup quarterback then? That's like the logic I have, I guess. It was just like, what are we doing here? Like, it's pretty obvious, like you said, dinking and dunking. There's a lot of like stat lines this year where I'm like, I don't know if I've seen Cam Akers is one of them, like 22 carries and 29 yards in week 1. 13 catches for 33 yards for Kamara. Like, have you seen a 13 catch, 33 yard performance before? I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
No. Yeah.
This is why I'm notoriously against PPR, because it's like, this is a monster PPR game. And it's like, 80 total yards, and then you add on 13 more points. Like, you have a 20-point PPR game because you had 13 catches for 33 yards. I don't know. It's just a little rant there. But yeah, Kamara's the start. They're going to be dinking the ball off to him like this. Olave, it's just one of those things. So let's say Derek Carr does play again, Dad. They play him again. Are you kind of pivoting from Olave then after what you saw him that week? Or are you going to assume?
Yeah, geez. Yeah, it's going to be that's a big decision. I might, have it sit Olave. I don't know. Things are gonna need to change or something. That was disgusting.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, what is Winston really that bad? I don't know. I would assume if Carr is gonna play again after what they saw, that he's feeling better. So not much to say with that game. It's just. Yeah, and Michael Thomas, you're probably throwing back out there. So, but on to the next one, the Commanders and the Eagles. This was an entertaining game for sure. Commanders made it a game. Sam Howell bounced back after looking terrible against the Buffalo Bills. 300 yards almost passing, touchdown, 40 yards. Brian Robinson got a touchdown, which is fine. We talked about it last week, Dad. Jahan Dotson. Are we moving on? I know he caught a touchdown, but he had 9 targets, 27 yards, a touchdown. Like, I think he maybe got hurt as well. But let's just say, even if he's not hurt, are you just fine with like picking someone else up? If there's someone better on the waiver wire, more productive?
Yeah, I don't know. You said 9 targets, so
yeah,
27 yards. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's Philadelphia did, Sam Howell did have a little bit of a bounce back game, so I don't know. You gotta ride with him in McLaurin, I think.
Yeah, it's tough though. It really is. Like, we're talking about just pulling up the numbers here real quick. We're talking about, we have the wide receiver 62 on the year. That's because of that touchdown. If he didn't have that touchdown, he's like not even in the top 75. So,
well, I'm not dropping him. I might be sitting him for somebody else if you got somebody on the bench. So.
Yeah, but my biggest concern is they're throwing a lot to running backs and tight ends. And Curtis Samuel as well. He had 8 targets himself, 50 yards. I don't know. If he's banged up, I'm dropping him. So, but yeah, beyond that, like Sam Howell, is he someone else also that you're interested in maybe starting as like a spot starter during bye weeks, or you want to have someone a little more consistent maybe?
Yeah, he definitely needs some consistency.
Yeah, for sure. On the Eagles side, it's not much to talk about here. Hurts looked awesome. A.J. Brown looked awesome. DeAndre Swift didn't have a monster game like he had the last couple of weeks, but he still had, a good game of 80 total yards and a touchdown with a couple catches. So I don't know. I guess the biggest thing here, Dad, is Dallas Goedert. Um, he's been very not good to start the season. I'll tell you here in a second. He is tight end 31 on the year. Um, hasn't had more than 6.5 points in a game. Is this another guy you're just going to continue to roll out, or he's been worse than Kyle Pitts?
Yeah, then he's in the same category then, and you got to be thinking about doing something else. But it's hard. Eagles have a good offense. I mean, it's tough to, but you got guys like Swift had a huge week a couple weeks ago. Now yesterday it was AJ Brown. So I don't know. It's kind of hard. I have a little more faith in the Eagles offense than the Falcons offense. So
yeah, I agree with you there for sure. Like, that's the biggest difference is it feels like they're going to correct that. But man, it's even just like 50 yards. I'll probably still roll him out there a couple of weeks. But if it doesn't improve, then I'm fine with kind of moving on. So but yeah, Eagles are easy. You're starting all those studs. So the Bengals and the Titans is the next game. Man, are you benching Joe Burrow, or should you have already benched Joe Burrow, who's you're probably 1-3, 0-4 if you've been starting Burrow each week, because he's giving you like you need at least 16, 18 points from quarterbacks. You don't need 30. You need, if you're getting 3, 9, 4, which is what you've gotten from Burrow in 3 of his 4 weeks, you're losing weeks. So are you just you're benching him until you see more?
Yeah, I would. And if you drafted Joe Burrow, you probably are not carrying a second quarterback. Maybe not. I mean, that's what I would do. I mean, but I'm starting to look the waiver wire, and I got to have somebody who's going to give me some numbers.
Yeah.
Those numbers. Those single-digit numbers. For my quarterback. Yeah, I'm losing my ass.
Yeah, I would be surprised if any Joe Burrow manager out there at least doesn't have another quarterback on their roster. So hopefully you have, we threw out some names of a Baker Mayfield or Sam Howell, even. Like, you got to start these guys. He just can't do anything. Like, it's not really his fault. CJ Stroud, yeah, for sure, yeah. Sure. It's not really his fault. He just can't do anything. Like, he literally can only take shotgun snaps because he can't be under center and he can't drop back 7-8 yards. He literally has to stand there in shotgun. Like, it's bad. He's just so limited in what they can do. And that's, they were able to gut out a win that last week 3 and Monday night, but that's not going to happen. So I'd avoid these guys as much. I mean, you're not avoiding Jamar Chase. You're probably not avoiding Joe Mixon, because it's like, who else do you have? And Mixon's still been at least productive. T. Higgins, I think, has broken ribs.
Yeah, I think he's ribs. That's very, very painful injury. So
yeah,
that's not. So
he might miss time. I think Bengals should just shut down Burrow, tank this year, get Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft. No, I don't know. It's hard to say tank when you have Burrow. You can't just give up years of, one of the best quarterbacks of the. But man, just go ahead.
And then trade Jamar Chase, right?
No, don't do that. But it's just, this is the value of a freaking backup quarterback. What were you doing, Bengals? Like, you knew his injury. It wasn't like, he got injured week 1. It was, he's been injured since the beginning of training camp. Like, you could have gotten Josh Dobbs. Look what he's doing with the Cardinals. Like, and you could have benched Burrow for a month, gets better, and you win. Even if you only won 1 game, even if you're in the position where you are now at 1-3, at least you have a healthy Burrow, right? Like, I don't know, man. It's frustrating. But you're sticking with your Jamar Chase and Higgins, Mixon, and even T. Higgins. I guess you kind of have to. On the Titans side, so much for Derrick Henry being dead, as people were trying to say. 22 carries, 120 yards, a touchdown. He threw a touchdown. He looked great. He's kind of is he the only player on this offense, Dad, that you really want to be starting? I guess it's him or Hopkins, right? Like, are you kind of away from Hopkins?
I even sat Hopkins this week for somebody else, but Derrick Henry. I mean, he looked like the old Derrick Henry. You know, again, I only seen the highlights, but he was starting. You know, he was rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. You know, Tannehill. Yeah, these guys, Titans. I don't know, man. You know, they're gonna have to reload or something. They're not looking the same.
But they're 2-2, and you know they're gonna keep. They're gonna be around. They're gonna be pesky, you know. So
they have a good defense. Yeah,
they do, and a good coach. And you have Derrick Henry. And I read people saying like, "Oh, it was just one big run from Derrick." It's like, have you not watched Derrick Henry over the last 3 years? He's had like games. This has had fantasy seasons like this where he's like first half, 15 or 12 carries for 40 yards, and then second half, 25 carries for 150 yards. You know, like it's just what he does. He just wears you down and busts off.
Wears you out. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it's tough to start Hopkins at this point. Like he had actually his lowest snap percentage this week. I don't know why exactly. I don't know. This is tough. Like even with Treylon Burks out, it just I want to avoid everyone but Derrick Henry on this team if I can. So we'll move on to the Raiders at the Chargers. Chargers win the game. Raiders are starting a rookie quarterback, and he looked like a rookie, Aiden O'Connell. He looked, he made mistakes and got sacked by Khalil Mack 6 times. And I guess the big thing here is Josh Jacobs had a bounce back. Looked like the old Josh Jacobs, 130 total yards with 8 catches and a touchdown. You'll take that. Devontae Adams had 75 yards. I know he left the game early, but he came back. So that was good to see. I don't know. Is there really anything to talk about with this? It's like you're starting Devontae, you're starting Josh Jacobs. If Jimmy Garoppolo's there, I'm also starting Jacoby Myers, who's been really good with Garoppolo. So I guess my biggest thing is this is why you probably should have traded for Josh Jacobs after 3 weeks, because I felt like he was going to do this. His first 3 weeks of last year, he was like the RB28. First 3 weeks this year, RB27. So, and then he went off to be like the RB1. So, anything on these guys, Dad, on the Raiders side?
No, you got to start Adams. Josh Jacobs, you've already talked about. Jacoby Myers, he's not. There's no one else really catching any passes or providing any offense other than those 3 guys. Plus whoever the quarterback is.
Yeah, it's those guys, and that's it. I mean, they're really easy. There's not a whole lot to talk about here, and you're going to be firing them up. So on the Chargers side, Herbert didn't look great passing the ball, but he had 2 rushing touchdowns, kind of saved his fantasy season or week. Josh Kelly, I mean, moving on. Hopefully, you didn't even start him after what you saw the first 2 weeks. Keenan Allen did catch a touchdown, but only 32 yards. Josh Palmer, most of it came on that like 50-yarder to kind of ice the game. Quentin Johnston obviously isn't ready. 3 targets, 18 yards. This is just not much. I don't know. Like, are you worried? Are you still holding on to Quentin Johnston? I guess. Like, if you want to still hold on to him, they're on a bye week, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, the season's only a quarter of the way done, so I mean, let's not throw the guy out yet, and there's always an evaluation, do I keep this guy? Do I get rid of him? And who do I have to replace him? So it's always what you should be doing.
Yeah. Let's say, I'm just trying to think like who's the top. Let's say Michael Wilson from the Cardinals, who we haven't talked about. He had a good game last week, rookie. He's sitting out there in waiver wire. would you drop him for Quentin Johnston?
Yeah, I think Michael Wilson has kind of played in every game and been okay.
2 touchdowns yesterday.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
So would you drop Quentin Johnston for him though? Like if that was the number 1 guy on the waiver wire?
Yeah, I don't think I would. I don't think I'd have a problem doing that. The Arizona. I thought the Arizona offense was just going to be like fucking quicksand or something. Like terrible. But
Yeah.
that's not the case at all. Josh Dobbs, and James Conner and the rest of it, guys are playing real football, as they should, and so
100%, 100%. I would do it. I would drop Quentin Johnston for if Michael Wilson was out there. Not just dropping him for anyone, but especially they're on a bye this week, so. You're on a bye this week. You're not starting him in week 6. So at best, you're starting him week 7. Like sometimes you just got to move on. And yeah, he could hit and explode this year, but I don't know. It's tough to hold on to that. So Josh Palmer, still hold on. I think even with a bad pass, only 167 yards passing, like he still had 77. So he'll have better games. We got a few more games here for you. The Patriots. At the Cowboys. Should the Patriots bench Mac Jones, Dad?
Well, Belichick's already said that he's not going to, so I don't know. He's not looking good. It's kind of too bad. His rookie year he looked all right. Last year he stunk, and this year he's still stuck in the mud. The whole offense isn't looking good. So you look at these numbers of Ramondre Stevenson, 30 yards. Ezekiel Elliott, 16 yards. Hunter Henry, the only thing exciting is Hunter Henry caught 4 passes for 50 yards. That's a low that's a low thing to get excited about, but geez. The Cowboys they laid it on them.
Yeah, I will say this, that they've had maybe the toughest, in terms of defenses, the toughest start first 4 weeks of the season. Played the Eagles in week 1, then they played the Dolphins, okay. Then they played the Jets in week 3 and the Cowboys in week 4. Those are 3 of maybe the top 5 defenses in the league right there. Like, look at the Jets yesterday, they made Patrick Mahomes look mortal, right? Like, Patrick Mahomes looked okay. He looked, Jets are really good. Eagles are good defense. Cowboys are obviously a really good defense. Unfortunately, it doesn't get better next week. They have the Saints, who are another really good defense. So my only thing is, like, when it comes to guys, I'm not saying Mac Jones is ever going to be fantasy relevant this year, but like a Ramondre Stevenson, like not only are those 3 of the best defenses, those are 3 of the best run defenses in the league. And the Saints are even better. So I could see Ramondre still getting 65% of the snaps. He's still on pace to have, still on pace to have over 50 catches on the year and over 75 targets. He's getting 15 carries a game. Things could get better for him. So I would kind of hold on. I wouldn't sell low. I would either buy low if you can, or just hold on to him if you have him. I wouldn't just give him up for nothing. So yeah, Hunter Henry is the only exciting thing on this team, which is really, that's not great to say out loud. I think he's the tight end. Hunter Henry's the tight end 5 on the year. So yeah, on the Cowboys side, what about Dak Prescott, Dad? Is he another guy you're kind of worried about? You probably drafted him as your starter. Now, I'm saying worried, not that he's necessarily looked bad, but this defense is just so damn good that they just don't have to do so much. Like, are you factoring that in? And let's say CJ Stroud's out there. Are you starting CJ Stroud over Dak Prescott?
Maybe not yet. You need to lower your expectations, I guess. What was his fantasy points yesterday, Dax?
This is 4 point per passing touchdown is 14.3.
Yeah, that's
He's QB 21 on the year. He's actually Mac Jones has more total points than Dak this year. That's how.
wow.
Yeah, but he hasn't been bad. He had a week one. They literally didn't have to do anything against the Giants. The defense just dominated. So he had 6.3. The last 3 weeks he's been again 19 and a half, 15 and a half, 14 and a half. They're not killing you. They're not winning you weeks. It's just, but he's not playing bad necessarily. Like, it's just this team's so good everywhere else. They don't have to. Like, that's my only worry. I kind of want CJ Stroud, just, that team. Go ahead.
Well, I think there was some discussion on one of the pregame shows, that the head coach calls the plays now, Mike McCarthy, and they said they wanted to not have to rely on Dak so much, so maybe, he's not going to wing the ball around for 300 yards every week and 2 touchdowns, and because then he'd throw a couple interceptions. But
yeah,
overall on the Cowboys offensively, the guy who has surprised me the most is Jake Ferguson, the tight end.
Yeah,
he's the real deal.
Solid.
Yeah. You're talking about Pitts and who was the other guy we were talking about? I wouldn't have a problem picking up Jake Ferguson. What's that?
Was it Freiermuth? Oh no, it was someone else.
Oh, it was Dallas Gobert.
Yeah.
But Goddard, yeah. So Jake Ferguson, I wouldn't mind plugging him in. He seems to be having a decent year.
Yeah, tight end 9 on the it's in standard. Yeah, he's a top 12 tight end. For sure. He's top 8. So yeah, he's solid, and I don't know. I think I'd move it on. Like, I wouldn't necessarily drop Dak, but I might be moving on. Like, I might be picking up CJ Stroud and starting him. Just, again, if they're not going to throw the ball, like, I'm not saying Dak's a bad player or anything, but like, just got to be realistic here. And it's hurting all the receipt. Like, we thought Brandon Cooks and maybe Michael Gallup could be and obviously CeeDee Lamb was drafted as like a top 5 receiver, and CeeDee Lamb's still a good player. I just don't know if he's never going to be like, at least as of now, like Stephon Diggs, or they're just feeding him the ball, or, I don't understand it to a certain extent. Like, he's obviously your best player. Just throw the ball to him all the time, as much as you can. Why does Jake Ferguson have more targets than him? So it's just, it's a little unfortunate in that regard, I would say. So obviously you're still firing up Pollard, and are you just dropping? Let's say you still have Brandon Cooks, you're dropping him, right?
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be getting the usage, so
yeah,
I'd be looking, that kid from Arizona, Michael Wilson or Brandon Cooks, Michael Wilson right now, so.
Yep. Yeah, this offense is just kind of weird. So, but they're winning, and that's all that really matters in the NFL world. So, 2 more games for you. Cardinals at the 49ers. Again, Cardinals kind of overachieving, making us all look dumb for saying they're going to be the worst team in the history of the NFL. Josh Dobbs is fun to watch. Like, I don't know how much you've watched of him, but he's fun to watch, and he's becoming a potential. Do I start Josh Dobbs? He's QB 16 on the year. He's had, I believe, 130 rushing yards over the last 3 weeks. So he's had 25 points, 17 points, 23 points. He had a bad week 1 point, but you take that out, and I'm going to do that right now. Since over the last 3 weeks, Josh Dobbs has been QB 6 on the year, because he's giving you a rushing floor. He's throwing for a couple hundred yards and a touchdown here. So is he a guy that, if you have Herbert who's out this week, or another player who's out, are you starting? Is he a guy you're targeting to start?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, with the good comes bad. So, but obviously, we've seen this guy. We've seen Dobbs improve. They're not going to be, like you said, the rushing game. A couple passing touchdowns and 250 yards, and we got good fantasy numbers.
Yeah. And in the last 2 weeks, he's done it against the Cowboys and 49ers. Like, two of the best defenses in the NFL. Like, at least that's what we think as of now. He's put up 17 and 23 points. So, I don't know. I'm fine with it. Like, I think he's going to give you a rushing floor. The team's going to be in shootouts basically every game because they're not very great defensively. So, yeah, I mean, James Conner, kind of a bad game, but you're still going to start him no matter what. Marquise Brown's another guy that's kind of, we were all afraid of this offense. And so Marquise Brown fell way down draft boards, I would say. And Marquise Brown's another one. Wide receiver 18 on the year. He's had 3 straight weeks of double-digit points. You take out that they had a really bad week 1 in terms of just offensive production. You take that out, and the Arizona Cardinals have, Marquise Brown is wide receiver 14. So he's another guy. Keep firing him up. He's going to keep catching the ball a lot. Michael Wilson, we talked about him. Definitely a waiver wire target. He's had 3, I think, solid games. He's wide receiver 27 on the year. He has more points than Chris Olave. Jeez. Can't believe I just said that out loud. Michael Wilson has more points than Chris Olave. That's not going to stay the same, but a couple touchdowns will do that for you. And then Zach Ertz, another tight end, he's getting solid production. Had a down week 3, but 6 catches, 10 targets, again, double-digit targets, 53 yards. Like, this Arizona offense is producing players because they're just going to be in shootouts. So all these guys that we just mentioned, I'm picking up. Anything else you want to say on the Cardinals, Dad?
No, it's like you said, they've shocked us all. Again, preseason bullshit hype. Somebody said this is the worst roster I've ever seen, and and it's like, yeah, okay. So we bought into the hype, I guess, and we all thought, especially when they trade for a quarterback, they cut all their quarterbacks right after training camp. Make a trade for Josh Dobbs, and we're going, what the hell's going on here? But anyway, it's turning out. It looks okay right now after 4 weeks. So
yeah, no, 100%. And again, they're going to be in shootouts. And then on the 49er side, again, not much to talk about. Brock Purdy, 20 for 21, 280 yards, and he's like the perfect quarterback for this system. CMC is breaking fantasy football again a little bit, so that guy's been electric. I don't think the 49ers have lost except for that one playoff game since he's been there. So he's awesome. He's up to almost 28 half PPR points a game, which is insane. Debo was hurt, didn't have a good game. Again, you're starting all these guys. Are you worried about Kittle at all? Like, we've had, I think, 3 bad weeks and 1 good week with Kittle, or is it just tight end? He has upside. You're just going to keep rolling out Kittle.
No, I think I gotta keep going with him. So, tight ends are hard to replace. So,
yeah, just a lot of mouths to feed for sure.
Definitely.
But not much to say about the 49ers that you already know. So we'll move on to the Chiefs and the Jets, our last game here. And on the Chiefs side, yeah, we talked about it. Mahomes looked a little mortal, 200 yards passing, 2 interceptions. He had 51 yards on the ground. You're not worried about Mahomes. Isaiah Pacheco, this is a guy that I will admit I was wrong on, I think. He's getting a lot of usage. He's looking good. They're throwing him the ball. He's had over 150. He kind of won that game for him yesterday. He's looked good. He's running back 12 on the year. He's getting the usage. He's going to be efficient because he's in an offense that they're not worried about stopping Pacheco. They're worried about stopping Mahomes. He's going to get the touchdown, which he didn't even – oh, no, he did have a touchdown in this game. He's going to get touchdowns because they're on a good offense. So, yeah, are you trying to sell high on Pacheco, Dad, or are you just going to ride it out and hopefully you keep getting a top 15 guy?
Yeah, I would stick with Pacheco and just ride whatever he's going to give you. And yeah, the Chiefs offense, the wide receivers, it's like these guys, yeah, you don't know what's
Amazing.
going on there. So
Isn't that amazing? Like Mahomes can be on pace for like 4,500, 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, and there's not one reliable receiver potentially on this team. It's just kind of so he's on pace for 4,000 yards and 32 touchdowns, and there's not one reliable receiver on this team. Like,
yeah,
that's
it's
kind of crazy to me. I don't know. Kelsey is Kelsey. He's had a little bit slow of a start for his standard. 60 yards, 6 catches. Like, I'm sure if I look, he's tight end 5 or whatever on the year. So he's tight end 6, and that was with missing a game, but just not up to necessarily his standards. I think it will get going. On the Jets side, at least they looked competent and they moved the ball, and they got some. If they can do this every week, we can rely on at least Garrett Wilson. What about Breece Hall, Dad? You're not starting him anymore until you see more than freaking 6 carries?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a shame because he looked okay. I'm still gonna roll with him. Something's gonna happen here. Like hopefully, it's like a friggin' he's stuck in an ice flow or something. We're just waiting for the ice to break free and stuff like that. And it's the Jets offense did look significant. Everybody talks, like the Jets defense is this and the Jets defense is that. I don't think they're that good, to tell you the truth, but that's beyond the fantasy stuff. But I haven't seen it yet. But Zach Wilson, I'll never start. Breece Hall, I'll probably ride with him until I lose. Garrett Wilson, yes. Everybody else, I don't know. There's a big maybe there.
Yeah, I think the Jets defense is really good. I mean, again, look what they just did to Patrick Mahomes. Like, and you gotta think like they're consistently in bad position because of the offense. They're on the field a lot, 3 and outs, turnovers. They made Josh Allen. Look at what Josh Allen's done since playing the Jets. I know it's week 1, whatever, but I think the Jets had something to do with that. So I think they are a really good defense that's going to keep them in the game. So, yeah, I don't know how you can start Breece Hall. And it's not like, they play the Broncos next week, so if they're in a good game script, okay, they'll maybe run Breece Hall 20 times. But if they're playing from behind, which, again, they play the Eagles, play the Chargers, we'll see, play the Bills, the Dolphins, like, these are the games coming up, like, sounds like they're going to be behind a lot. So, I don't know. I'm not starting them until I see something more. Garrett Wilson, though, you can start if you're going to get 9 catches and 60 yards and 14 targets. You can start that because you're going to get the touchdown every now and then. So, but yeah, that's it for the recap of week 4. We got one more game tonight. Dad, you said you need Geno Smith to do poorly?
Yeah, I need 21 points or less out of Geno Smith for me to win.
I think you have DK Metcalf in that matchup too.
Yeah. I missed that one? Oh, yeah, I did. Well, I'm screwed, so
yeah,
I'm losing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. There's one matchup I need, I think, less than 12 points from Lockett. And then in our Dynasty matchup, I need like less than 19 points from Lockett. So I need Lockett to do poorly.
Yeah.
But they're playing the Giants, so we'll see. Anyways, we're going to finish up there. We'll be back with our preview videos later on in the week. Good luck to everyone who has their matchups up in the air, and we'll catch you guys